Hello, welcome back to After the Bell. Today, me and Mercedes are going to be breaking down the cult following of Chloe Ting in 2020 and the psychology behind the diet and workout culture around that time as well.
In case you guys don't know who Chloe Ting is, I'm going to give you a quick background. I'm guessing many of you know who she is, but if you don't, she's known for her workout videos, more specifically her 2-week shred. Chloe Ting went viral during the pandemic. Many people participated in her 2-week shred, and it resulted in essentially a whole generation getting eating disorders and following this.
It happened to me.
It happened to me too, and many other people we asked. So we're gonna go with that. Now, causation does not mean correlation, but many people who participated in her videos did end up struggling with their body image or develop some type of eating disorder. Me and Skylar are going to dive into the psychology of why she blew up and why so many people participated in her workouts, along with why so many people struggled with their body image during this time. We'll be touching on our bio, behavioral, social, cultural, mesh, and humanistic units.
Touching on the social aspect, on what made Chloe Ting so popular. Do you have any ideas?
So I think a huge reason why she blew up, it has to deal with influence from peers, family, technology, social media. Once one person started doing it, their friends started doing it, and then all of a sudden TikTok, everyone was like, who's doing the 2-week shred, and posting their beginning and results.
Yeah, and I think when relating it to like the psychology terms, I think Chloe Ting specifically also really appealed to people because of the peripheral route persuasion. Okay, so there was no stats or proven results because it was so new. So most of the judgments that were being made were based solely on like her physical appearance and how she looked and very surface level information, and that caused a lot of people, I think, to put more trust into her than they didn't really have enough information, right. But they trusted her anyway.
And when we touch on trust with like attraction, rules of attraction, since she was more like your ideal fit kind of person,
yeah,
many people were like trusting of her, and they saw her and they were like, this is what I want to work towards.
Yeah.
And everyone would think like she would work out, and they would think they would get her body in 2 weeks,
right.
Which wasn't realistic.
Right. To touch on the social bit a little bit, I feel like there was multiple factors leading into kind of like the eating disorder type, like how these videos cause people to get eating disorders. When we think about reciprocal determinism, I feel like on the social part of it, there was like the TikTok trend and the influencers that were very much like promoting this, and then like internally, a lot of teenagers already had that like low self-esteem.
Yeah, and on top of that, it was during COVID, so all of us were isolated.
Yeah, isolation.
Which meant we were leaning towards someone or something to give us that like human interaction, which was TikTok. Mm-hmm. And social media in general, which had like kids participating in these things, so they felt closer to people.
Yep, and I think that finally that led to the behavior of like not eating, and after like finishing the 2-week challenge, like your bodies will return to a set point, so you can work out and lose all this weight, but if you like, it's just going to return back. And once people started like gaining this weight back, I think that's also when the eating disorders kind of like started. So all of this to say, I feel like there is a reason why people did like keep participating in it outside of like the body image. Like there was other things going on, and I think that really relates to the bio unit.
Right. And because it is known that when you work out, you have positive like energy, you feel better, and that has a lot to do with what happens in your body when you are working out.
Yeah. Moderate levels of working out lead to higher reportings of pleasure and positive moods, but more intense forms of exercise, which I would label the 2-week shred as an intense form of exercise.
Yeah, instead of having your regular, like, set schedule where you have a rest day.
Yeah, and especially, like, a lot of people coming off, like, who never work out and just decide to, like...
Myself included.
Fully throw themselves into it.
Yeah.
These more intense forms of exercise often, like, lead to displeasure, causing people to, like, not work out at a consistent basis.
I found another study, though, that could explain why people kept doing the 2-week shred, and mostly because of the effects right away. So the study says after physical exercise, immediately afterwards, not only will people feel better because of the physiological effects of these tasks, as well as the improved self-esteem, but they potentially could also be getting a protective benefit of not directing as much attention to processing, worrying, or anxiety-inducing things. And I think that's a big reason why people kept doing it, you know, myself included. Because when I was doing this workout, I wasn't thinking about all these other things going on, and right when I was done, I was like, I just did this workout. And I was like, I feel so much better.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think kind of when you're thinking about why people participated in it, you can kind of dive into incentive theory. I have a ton of notes on that. So pretty much incentive theory, like a theory of motivation, in which a person is motivated by like external forces. And this really explains why so many people, specifically teenagers, were so motivated to do like the 2-week shred.
And with the incentive theory, it promotes, like, it motivates people to do it. So when they are doing this 2-week shred, they know that on the first day they won't see anything, but they have an end goal to get to the body of Chloe Ting.
Yeah.
And so that's their incentive, to keep doing this 2-week shred every day to get to that dream body.
Yep, and I think she really advertised that, like, in her, like, thumbnails of her videos and her Instagram. Like, it really gave people a clear goal.
Yeah, and when in reality, people were showing, like, and another thing is, with the incentive theory, people were showing on TikTok, like, this was my body before, and this was my body after.
Yeah.
When in reality, they weren't really realistic, because they had previously been working out. But that was our incentive. We were like, we are going to keep working out to get to this body, which wasn't realistic, which we now know, but at the time
there was very little internal like motivation. I feel like everything was very external. It was all about wanting to lose weight or get abs, as opposed to wanting to like feel better about yourself.
Gotta lose those hip dips by doing the like.
And this like furthers the like why people stop doing it, they gain the weight back, and then eating disorders like
kind of evolved, and that's because they were like, I gained all this weight, and on top of it, diet culture and media became a thing.
I think kind of tying in with the social media culture of the time, it was like very active because everyone was isolated. The only way they could interact with people is online, and TikTok was also blowing up at the moment. I think there was a lot of group polarization that was happening online that like feeds into this like diet culture.
Right.
And TikTok is known to be kind of like an echo chamber, so because of the algorithm, like you like what you want to see, and it's people telling you how to like lose weight and maintain a diet, and sometimes it kind of leaks into like this eating disorder territory, and if that's just what you're being fed always, then it kind of creates like this toxic environment.
Right, because personally my algorithm was like, oh, how to keep track of your weight, like this is the calorie tracker you need to get. And so I fell into that. I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna do this. And along with other people I know, it definitely leads into like group polarization and which beliefs, attitudes, and decisions of like groups, so your friends or social media tend to be more amplified or extreme than like if I were to really take a step back, or me today, I would say I wouldn't look at that and be like, I need this calorie tracker, but at the time,
but at such a young age, you're also very like influential, like that stuff, like it's like, oh, this is what I need to be doing to kind of fit in. So I do have a study on polarization. So a study carried out by Aalto University in Finland. They did a study on increasing polarization on social media and found that factors like users in a social media system tend to bond more with ones who are similar to them than to ones who are dissimilar. So that definitely touches on your algorithm filtering in the echo chamber. And it's created this cycle of enforcing and reinforcing belief systems and ensuring that we don't open our minds to diverse opinions. And I definitely think that's where like Chloe Ting came in. 100%.
Also, during the pandemic, Chloe Ting wasn't blowing just up on YouTube, but on TikTok, which we've touched on. And many people did the challenge to fit in with each other, even if it wasn't what they would usually participate in.
Like it was like a thing that people did within their friend groups and stuff like that.
So that's my next part. Friend groups would even decide to do the challenges themselves. Me and Skylar and one other person made a group chat to hold each other accountable while doing this workout. And we held each other accountable. And I mean, at the time I would work out just because I was in volleyball, but I usually wouldn't go home and decide I'm gonna work out.
In theory it was a good idea, but actually it was pretty unhealthy what we were doing.
And with group polarization, a negative in the case of Chloe Ting was because when everyone was watching and doing her challenge, it showed unrealistic expectation. And like we touched on, she already had the body that everyone was working towards. And so many people were doing this challenge and expecting results right away, and it caused people to have unrealistic expectations on how their body should look. And on top of that, her audience was
like
teenagers.
Young teenager.
And the people on TikTok who were doing this challenge weren't young teenagers showing the results. It was like 20-year-olds.
Then, against my intentions, I let you turn me violent.
I think when talking about like isolation and love and belonging, I think we can really relate like this idea to humanism.
And with that we can really touch on Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So people were trying to reach self-actualization, which wasn't really ideal during the time we were in. So when participating in Chloe Ting's 2-week challenge, many people were trying to stay active and stay on top of trends, along with trying to build their self-esteem by working out, and that they were trying to build their self-esteem, but they were also missing love and belonging because we weren't around other people, so we were isolating ourselves because we literally could not go outside. And I think that's a reason why people start to do her workouts.
I have a note that says teens at the time had a high self-efficacy but a low self-esteem. So they really thought because they were isolated they could do all these challenges and stuff, but their like view of themselves and how they felt about themselves was really low.
Because when you think about teenagers, or since we are teenagers, we're very like in our head, very emotional kids. And I think that definitely played a part in it. But to touch on that too, we were just sitting in our house not doing anything because we weren't allowed to leave.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why people were trying to do the workouts. But another reason is people were trying to build their self-esteem due to the fact that they were missing basic needs. For safety, many people were losing their jobs, getting laid off during COVID, which led to a sense of loss of security, you know? And another issue was love and belonging. Humans aren't supposed to be isolated, and we were isolated for months, like almost a year, if we're gonna be honest. And we weren't able to see family, friends, sometimes even spouses if they weren't living together yet. This also led to lots of connections, feelings, depression, so people started to work out thinking that they could get their self-esteem higher, which would fix all their other problems.
Yeah. And it was almost like a temporary fix because of the endorphins.
Right, which boosted their mood, concentration, alertness, and it reduced some of their anxiety at the end of the day. But as we know, you can't really, or Maslow's theory is you can't have a good or a high self-esteem without meeting love and belonging, safety needs, and physiological needs.
Right.
Yeah. So, I think we were all trying to build our esteem, and Chloe Ting blew up, and we were like, this is going to fix all of our problems. It was like a
perfect recipe.
Yes.
For why these videos blew up.
Right. But in reality, everyone was just isolated and following the trend and humanistic. That theory, more like you were searching for love and belonging, but doing this,
Yeah. When thinking about Erickson and developmental psychology, the most important developmental task for adolescents is identity versus like role confusion. And I feel like having someone feed this like diet culture and over exercising and all these unhealthy habits really messed up a lot of people's identity.
Yeah, I mean, with my identity at the time, I became very like, what am I eating?
Yeah.
Like my internal identity, like my I had my ego, my ID, super ego, and they were just like, one was like, what are you eating? Like, you can't eat all that. And the other one was like, you can eat whatever. And I'm like, no, I need to work out. Like, it definitely became, in a way, who I was.
Yeah, I like spent a lot more time worrying about like my physical body appearance and what I'm eating versus who I actually am.
Yeah.
Like, what's my personality? What type of people do I want to be around?
Right.
Yeah.
Definitely, I 100% fell into more, what am I doing with my body and myself in general, rather than who am I hanging out with and what decisions am I making, because I definitely fell down a path during the time, which didn't really have anything to do with Chloe Ting, but
yeah,
it
kind of like
it stemmed.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening in.
Thank you for coming to our TED Talk.
Yeah. Thank you for listening to us break down the psychology of Chloe Ting and the reason why she blew up
and why it didn't end up sticking.
Yeah. Thank you for listening. Come back to the next one.